Listen, you know what time it is. It's time for another episode of your favorite podcast entitled We Hate You, Internet! All right, gather around once again. This is We Hate You, Internet. It's a podcast designed to bring awareness of the problematic effects of the internet on our lives, as well as celebrate the beautiful simplicity of our humanity. I'm your host, Wilfred Howard. You know, I've come to realize, man, you know what I'm saying? 77 episodes in, I finally realized I'm a pretty silly person. How is it possible you can do something 77 times and still be about it? You gotta be silly, right? Oh, man. Anyway, did I say I'm your host, Wilfred Hamilton? Oh, you know I got that one out. I'm your host, Wilfred Hamilton. All right. Got the giggle bugs. You better be professional. Well, all right, man, listen, okay. Episode 77. So happy, you know what I'm saying? We still got this thing rolling, man. We've been able to give you these episodes consistently, man. I'm really excited. I'm really motivated, man, about like pumping this stuff out, man. I'm grateful for the production team, that being one person, Steven. Right again, hell, but I try to get this thing done. My wife also helps quite a bit if I don't say so. You know what I'm saying? It'd be trouble. It'd be trouble to pay. You know? Hell to pay. She gonna be like, why don't you say that? People gonna think that I be being mean to you. I love you, baby. But goodness gracious, out the gate, man, just pow right out the gate and then right straight into the grass. Like that didn't even take two full steps. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, goodness, thank you for tuning in, man. I'm grateful that you guys have come back, you know, to these, you know, to run around with me again out here in these digital streets, learning the things that we need to do to survive, you know what I'm saying, in the world that is to come. I already said thank you. So subscribe. Like we always talk about, subscribe. You know, hit the notification bell if you're on YouTube. If you're listening, though, make sure you hit the follow button on whatever platform that you happen to be on. And if they allow, go ahead and leave a review for your boy. You know what I'm saying? And tell the people in the world how much We Hate Your Internet is changing the game and helping the lives of the true humans. They're helping you to stay human. You know what I mean? Also, we want to plug the Facebook group, hashtag Stay Human. You know what I mean? You know, just discussing things in there about, you know, different, you know, just continuing the conversation that we have on the platform, and, you know, kind of sharing ideas and thoughts about how we can continue to navigate this space and maintain our humanity in the process. So I just want to plug those things. Now we're going to go ahead and move forward into today's topic. We're going to be talking about breakup culture. And, you know, it's funny because, you know, the last couple of years, like, you know, the romance discussions or relationships and things of that nature has been like really picking up steam, you know what I'm saying? And it's almost gotten to the point, I think, where it's crest to where people are kind of actually getting tired of hearing about all the man versus woman stuff and, you know, all this kind of mess, you see what I'm saying? And so I just kind of want, you know, I touch on these things because these kind of stuff that's kind of going on. You know, you see and hear things, you be like, man, you know, I want to share some ideas. You know, I have 4 children, you know, they all starting to get, you know, pretty old. You know what I mean? I got my oldest son, 22, and I got a 20-year-old, you know, 18 and 16, you know, and I was talking to, you know, number 2, and he was, you know, chit-chatting with these, you know, young ladies, you know, as young men do, whatever. and I was just, you know, he was, you know, let me be careful. I want to put all this business on the street. You upset with me? But we were discussing, you know, some of his recent, you know, exploits or adventure, and you know, this kind of conversation kind of came up and just talking about how, man, you know, take your time, you know, and let your intentions be known and be true to your intentions. Like, what is it that you're trying to get out of this relationship with this individual? You know, and, you know, young lady, and make sure that you make that clear. You know what I mean? You don't want to be leading people on and, you know, taking advantage of people. That's not cool. You know, you try to raise them right, man. You know, treat people with respect, and like as far as when love is concerned, that you true in your love for people, and that like you're intentional about what it is you're trying to do. You know what I mean? I'm trying to take advantage and lead people on. That's not cool because you won't want nobody doing it to you. And all of us have been on both sides of that fence. Whether you've you know most of the time the worst people that be out there really dog people out doing people dirty is because at some point or another they got done dirty and they like, well, after this I'll never let nobody do me like that again. They start cutting up in the streets and acting wild. You know what I'm saying? They've turned to an animal out there. And so one of the things we discussed, and it kind of made me think about this topic, just about how I guess I use the word fickle. I don't want to be necessarily I try not to be too negative about stuff because people do things for different reasons. Sometimes it's just because they're not aware. Sometimes because it comes from places of vulnerability and like, trauma and stuff like that, which is not cool. You know what I mean? Like that's not good, but then it's also not good for you to turn around and cause trauma for other people either. But, hey, like I said, hurt people, as they say. But ultimately, like it causes a culture in the dating world where it's a lot easier to just break up with people than to stay together and like work things out. You know what I mean? I think that as people, they get older in ages, 20s, mid, early mid, late 20s, 30s, whatever, like you start compounding these experiences and like you start to, you build, and as you're living this life, like you're building a life for yourself. I think it gets really, really difficult for people once they start turning like, late 20s, when they start kind of making money to where they can take care of themselves, have their own place, their own vehicle, things of that nature. Mid, late 30s, like you have a mortgage, you got a lot of different things you've built for yourself. And it can become a lot more difficult to open your life and share a life with another individual when you've grown accustomed to living your own life. And I think that's one of the challenges for people, that as they get older, and they don't settle down into something, like that becomes the challenge. It becomes more and more difficult as time goes on. Also with that, as you enter relationships and, you go through different things and you share parts of your life with people, and then all of a sudden you run into an issue and you break up. I think that, the more that you do that, the more comfortable you get, and the more comfortable you get, the easier it is. But then of course the counter is the harder it becomes to have a lasting, meaningful relationship. You know what I mean? And like, and I think that is the place where people are now in society today, as far as romantic relationships are concerned. People are putting on so many like romance miles, I'll say that. And with that comes, trauma and, all that kind of stuff, because people get cheated, all kind of crazy stuff be going on. And, people love the idea of getting together. It's the movie scene. You know what I mean? Like, hey, romance movies, go out on dates. People love to go out on dates. They love to like go on trips and like do have all the social media love. I said that with quotation marks. I just made that up. Yeah, that social media love. Taking pictures and everything. You know what I'm saying? People love that. You know what I mean? I think it starts with like, 1990s Disney. It's further than that. Just fairy tales, period. Like the idea of happily ever after. You meet and you click and like you save the princess and then like you live happily ever after. People love the idea of that. And so they love to engage in new romance and because it's so fresh, and then social media propagates and supports that thought process and that conditioning. Like you always want to be in something new so you can have something interesting to post, and like it's just the frenzy of like this it's like a craving. You know what I'm saying? Like a person crave a meal, like I'm craving something new. You know what I mean? And that's the thought process that is cultivated and that has been cultivated in our society. People love new stuff, and that's not obviously that's nothing new in the world, but I think that it's been intensified because of our exposure. You know what I mean? Like people love something new, and if stuff start getting a little too common, a little too old, and they want to discard it and like come up with something new. And then the first thing they want to do about it is post about it, so they can get the attention, that attention rush, that adrenaline hit when you get all the likes and hearts. Your eyes get all big with stars in them. you know, and but as we move on to the conversation, we want to start talking about like why that's a problem, like why that's an issue, right? Like, and I got a couple things I could say about it, and I'm sure I don't have enough time to go over all of it. So I'm just gonna call pulling out a couple of cards in my pocket, just start going on a few of these things, man. Shucks, man. First, let's start here. The idea, okay, let's start with simple biology. Simple biology, right? Male, female come together, have offspring. They become a family at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, mother, father, and child. You know what I mean? Like that is biology. We ain't even talking about like whether y'all like each other, still go on dates and all that. We just talking about like, simple biology. Each of them have a purpose. And they become a clan. You know what I mean? You have more kids and like mother, father, and then their offspring. Y'all become a clan. Like that's nature. You know what I'm saying? Y'all work together to survive and do all these things. Like that's basic nature of humanity. And it's a benefit for you to stay with your clan, stay with your people. You know what I mean? Male, female, like I said, y'all get together and y'all form a bond. If you decide, I'm gonna break off this bond, I'm gonna go do this with somebody else, like, then as soon as you do that, there becomes issues with that. It don't matter whether it's agreed upon or not. Like, so I can understand like multiple wives and like polygamy and things that nature. Like that's been a thing in history. I get it. I'm not trying to be like, oh man, it's like, singular in my thought. Like I get it, but the one thing you understand, like with polygamy, there comes problems that arise from that, because jealousy is a natural human thing. You know what I'm saying? You got to share time. Like this person got this mama, he got that mama. You know what I'm saying? It's jealousy between the children because like, man, it becomes there's a lot of stuff with that. You know what I mean? That's minimized when it's monogamy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you got one person, y'all got all y'all kids got the same mom and dad. Like it's a lot more peaceful situation. That comes with, it has its challenges too. You know what I mean? It benefits the other joint, I guess. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I'm just pointing out the simple realities of it. That's all I'm saying. And so why am I talking about all this? Because, I get back to the main road. Because that idea, right, of this monogamous long-term relationship, y'all build a life together. You go through the ups and downs together. You go through the challenges together, right? And y'all survive together. You know your partner, like, and if you trust your partner, and if you have a good partner, like y'all can survive in life together. That's the idea. Like eagles, you know what I'm saying? Like they have mating pairs for life. That's what they do. You know what I mean? Human beings are capable of the same thing. A lot of times we've developed this thought process like you're with a person for a season, right? And like, okay, but I think that a lot of times that's used as a crutch and as an excuse for people just to move on from situations that they don't feel like being in anymore. And you can say, well, hey, I have that right to do that because, hey, I want to be, I deserve to be happy and blah, 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 right? But sometimes, and this is something that people, I think, example for themselves, sometimes a person walks away from a good thing in their life because they just don't want to deal with the trouble of today. You mess up your tomorrow, you know what I'm saying? You give away something good because you just don't feel like dealing with the trouble of today. You know what I mean? And that's one of the main points that I would make. In times past, people would stay married, they get married, and they stay together for life. Now, yeah, they say, well, that's because people's cheating and blah, blah, blah. I mean, yeah, okay, but I'm sure everybody wouldn't get down like that. The main thing is just that like people are so quick to throw a relationship away, and even if it is like, cheating is, and I'm not an advocate of cheating at all. You know what I'm saying? But like, you got to consider who you're partnering with, who you are partnering with in life. What did they bring to the table? And I think that we have to start kind of thinking about these things in survival basic biology perspectives. I am not advocating like like uh, like promiscuity and like cheating. Uh-oh. Oh, thank you, Stephen. Hashtag stay human. Real human beings out here. But yeah, I'm not advocating cheating. But I remember, people used to watch Kevin Samuels. So I was introduced to him by my son. He was and my oldest. He's like, he was, he was on that. he was on that. And I was like, yo, this cat kind of tripping, man. Some of his views are kind of wild, unnecessary. Some stuff he's talking about is kind of unnecessary. The way he's approaching it is kind of like, man, that ain't tasteful. That kind of stuff. I thought it was emotional. Some of it was emotionally charged. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, but he did. There were a couple of points that he made that were valid points. And, one point that he made, I thought that was kind of crude, and some of the way he kind of positioned it may not have been best. But, he's just talking about people getting married and, like, people want to just break up, over anything, over small thing. And even something like infidelity. And like I said, I'm not advocating infidelity. Please understand. But, like, you have to consider, is this person remorseful? Like, have they shown a pattern of this, or is this like a one-time thing? And this is hard. This is hard stuff. I'm not trying to act like this is easy stuff, because me and my wife have had conversations about this stuff too. And it's like, yo, man, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and sometimes it's just like one and done. I get it. Like, it is what it is. But you have to really consider, like, okay, do I want to be alone? One, you know what I mean? You have to think about that, not in your emotions, but rationally. Do you want to be alone? One, two, like, is this person a good partner in life? What other benefits do they bring to the table? You know what I'm saying? Not only just financially, but maybe they're really supportive, and maybe they really care and they made a bad decision. You know what I'm saying? Three, I don't forget how many fingers I had up. But did I do anything to drive them to this stuff? Like, that's something that a person has to take into consideration. You know what I'm saying? Like, did you contribute to putting this person in this position? I mean, and it's just something that I think people should really think about, and really consider that. Like, yo, have I been ignoring this person to where they felt, attention starved, and I sent them out there and somebody, saw that vulnerability and tried to fill that spot? You know what I mean? You caught them at a bad time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to think of, these things you got to think about. Now, does it justify the infidelity? No, it does not justify, but that's a real factor that you should at least consider and say, okay, well, if I do better, I know this is kind of hot water because people are like, no, because people do stuff anyway. And I'm not even knocking that or trying to like I said, once again, I am not justifying infidelity, but I'm saying you got to look at it from a realistic perspective. And the reason why I'm talking about all this is because, let's get back to the main road. I don't want to get caught in the sticky field. You know what I'm saying? It's like those birds that get, they call them sticky balls. People call them from the country. You walk in the grass and you walk out there and they all stuck on your socks. You try to pick them up, they're picking at your fingers. That's where I'm at right now in this conversation. So let me get out of there. Point I'm making, longevity. You know what I'm saying? And longevity in a relationship has its value. That's the point I'm making. And sometimes staying together is more valuable than breaking up. But a lot of times in this current society, in our current culture, people are very quick to just break off relationships because, they don't feel like dealing with the issue, or and the more you get used to breaking up, and it starts when you become a teenager, when you 13, 14, 15, you have a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, and it's like, yeah, y'all together, and all of a sudden y'all break up, and it's like puppy love stuff. I get that, but it starts there. Then you find somebody else and you're like, okay, y'all in love again. And you y'all together, and then y'all end up breaking up, and then you go with somebody else. But the issue comes, I understand that's kid stuff, right? And you get mature and you grow. But the problem is that you continue in that pattern. That becomes your norm. That becomes what you're comfortable with. And so when you're faced with real problems, when you're in a relationship with somebody, that's a value, and you face a real problem that y'all face, your natural response is, I'm a bail. And if that becomes your natural response to relationships, is that I'm in it, it's all romantic, but at the first sign of trouble, I'm out. You know what I mean? Oh, this ain't what I thought it was. I'm not feeling good about this no more, blah, 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 blah. And like, I'm out of there. Boom, I'm gone. Like, you'll wake up, you'll be 50 years old, 55, 60 years old and alone because because you have become incapable of holding a relationship with anybody. You know what I mean? Like, and that's crazy. You know what I mean? It's really odd because people have friends that they'll have friends forever. But like, if you're in a relationship with somebody, they should be kind of like your friend too, kind of. I mean, at least a little bit, right? You know what I'm saying? And so like, you don't throw your friends away like that. So but I mean, some people do that too. Like we're in a culture where it's so easy just to dispose of people when they don't fit into my filtered life, right? My edited life, fit into my little bubble, the world that I'm trying to create, and create in my head. And like, everybody got to play their parts. And if people don't play their parts perfectly, then you're fired. Like, that's the way that people are living their lives. Like, but the result of all of that is like, people are alone and they're sad. They're unhappy. They're bitter. And they take that everywhere they go. Those are the people that you run into, when you at the grocery store and you in traffic and like you're at the airport. Like, I work at the airport. And so we see these disgruntled people. These are the people that you're dealing with. They're unhappy, man, bitter, because like they alone because they don't know how to maintain healthy relationships, man. Like, that's just what it is. And like, that's what our society is pumping out. That's what it's producing. Like, social media does not teach you how to have a lasting marriage. It don't teach you that. It teaches you how to get together, take good pictures, have moments, and then discard or disband, and then find another person to repeat the process with. Like, that's it. But the reality of that is not what it looked like when you're taking the pictures. You know what I'm saying? Like, the reality of living like that is depressing. It's draining. Like, it's bitter. You know what I'm saying? It's empty. It's vain. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's lacking. Like, that's the reality. You know what I'm saying? You always just in and out of situation. It'll get to the point where you meet somebody nice, y'all exchange cordialities, go out, you know what I'm saying? Have a good time. Maybe have sex, you know what I'm saying? Move in together for a little while. And then automatically, and all the while, you're just expecting and waiting for the moment when it go wrong and you can break up. Like, and as crazy as it is to say, like, I just said, I was like, dang, I had to pause for a second. That's crazy. But that is what it becomes. Like, you become conditioned to that point to where that's what it is. You're with this person. As soon as you meet them, like, it's like, oh, it's great. But in the back of your mind, you're just waiting for when things go wrong. And eventually this ends. And like, we're going to break up. Like, because you don't even believe that you can have a lasting relationship with anybody anymore. You know what I mean? And at that point, you pretty much cooked. I mean, like you're destined for like, you know what I mean? Like, sorrow, you know what I'm saying? Like, and bitterness and like loneliness. Like, that's it. And so why are we talking about this? Man, like, is it too late? I mean, for some people, unfortunately, maybe. I'm like I said, I always keep it real with you. For some people, maybe. But I think that for those people that may be too late for, there are far more that can be rehabilitated. You know what I mean? And it starts with changing your thought process. Like, you got to start assessing people for more than just what they do for you. You know what I mean? Or like, and stop looking at people like that. Like, you got to understand, like, this is what a real human being is. We talk about #StayHuman on this all the time on the platform, like, because you want to be able to humanize people. People aren't perfect, but that just because they're not perfect don't mean that they're not valuable. You see what I'm saying? And so you can't look at people to fit this like fictional position in your production, with the production that you call life. Like, you got to treat people fair. Like, people aren't perfect. People come with trouble. They got their own trouble. They got their own issues. They got their own weaknesses. They got their own strengths. Like, and you want to try to build with a person and y'all work together in life. You need to make sure you're giving them the best version of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, in order for you to expect the best version from them, but even then, y'all should be gracious and merciful to each other, because the only way you're gonna be able to have a good relationship. And at the end of the day, why does a long relationship matter? Because the longevity, like, you build trust and a bond with this person, and y'all can attack life together. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna give you an example. Like, when we were going through a situation with one of my family members, we faced some different things, me and my wife. We faced some different things, some stuff that kind of hit you and be like, put you on your heels in life. You know what I mean? Disappointments. You know what I mean? Like heartbreak. Trouble, things of that nature. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's been things that we've been challenged with. You know what I mean? And it's been things that, like, in our relationship that have challenged us. So we like, yo, man, we on the verge. Like, man, maybe this ain't gonna work. Blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? But then, by God's grace, honestly, like, we take a step back, breathe, look at it, have a real conversation, and then decide, let's move forward together. Because at the end of the day, this is what our conversation always comes back to. Listen, man, I know you. You know me. Like, I care about you. I know you care about me. It's been proven. You know what I mean? You've proven it to me for years. You know what I'm saying? And so, like we've been going through so much together. You know what I mean? Like, we faced so many problems together, and that got to count for something. If we break up and I got to try to go be with somebody else, like, yeah, like, you start over, so to speak, but you bring some of that baggage with you, and then eventually you're gonna go through stuff with that person too. You know what I'm saying? Like, so then every time you go through something with somebody, you just break up. That means you just be revolving door. And the more you break up, the less and less you trust people, and the less open you become, the less of your stuff you can give away. Like, it only gets progressively worse. So it's just like, yo, man, like, we got a good thing. I don't want to, like, we have shared history, and people do not consider that at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have shared history with this person. Y'all have overcome trouble together. Y'all going through fire together. You know what I mean? That stuff got to mean something. You know what I mean? And ultimately, like, that should be a cohesion that holds you together. You know what I mean? If this person had your back when some crazy stuff went down, then they need to count for something. Don't be so quick to just throw people away, man. Like, that should count for something. Like, if they had your back, man, but you don't understand, they be meaning. Well, then y'all talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, communicate. I tried to talk to them. They don't change. Okay. Like, but then, okay, then can you change? Is it something about you? Are they telling you some stuff that you need to change? Have you changed? Have y'all met in the middle of the road? You know what I mean? Like, you got to work on stuff. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, like, if you found somebody in your life that really cares about you and you really care about them, then do not underestimate the value of that. Because it's not a guarantee that you'll find somebody else in your life that's going to care about you better or care about you more. You know what I'm saying? Or that care about you at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so, like, are there some situations that just, like, it's just over? Yeah. Cat beating you, beating your tail. Like, abusing, they on some other, they got some crazy abusive stuff going on. I got fingers in the sky. Yeah, they got crazy abusive stuff going on. Like, molesting the kids, beating the kids up. Like, dangerous, life-threatening stuff, right? Like infidelity, like crazy infidelity, like cat just, just out there dipping all over the place. Or open it up, it's wide open, you know what I'm saying, 24/7. You know what I'm saying? Circle 11. Circle K. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, yeah, okay, yeah. Because that person, that person is becoming untrustworthy. I get that. But a lot of times it's this small little stuff that turns into big stuff because people aren't communicating, talking. And it's like, and you quick to just throw that thing away. But, like, listen, man, if you guys, like I said, if you got somebody that love you and that's proven that they love you and that's proven that they're willing to stick it out with you through thick and thin, like, don't be so quick to throw that away. Work on it. Salvage it. People be married for 25 years and get divorced. And like I said, I've been married for 23 years, and I can see how. Because you go through stuff like, listen. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, listen, my wife, like, nah, man, like, she been down for me. And, like, if I change up, in my head, I can imagine a better situation. But at the end of the day, like, nah, you know what I'm saying? That's your imagination. But in reality, it don't go down like that. You know what I'm saying? So if you got a good thing, I tell my family all the time, if you got a good thing, hold on to it. Don't let it go. Because it ain't so easy to find good things in the world. That's all I got for you today, man. Thank you for tuning in. You already know what to do as far as on the platforms. Follow, subscribe, comment, notify, leave a review. And that will be enough. We'll leave it like you always do. Ask you to stay safe, stay blessed, and please stay human.